Shivaya Namah, 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 Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya, Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya, Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya, Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah Om. Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya, Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya, Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya, Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya, Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya, Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya, Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah. Welcome everyone. Tuesday meditation. Tuesday is sometimes understood as shock night because it's the furthest day away from the weekend while you're already 2 days tired into the week. Oh, Tuesday. Thus, we meditate. So, nice deep breath. Always the best way to start just about anything. You can just close the eyes. Find a comfortable position. Just gentle breath through the nose. Releasing all your funky conditioning. Deleting the files on anything that was negatively charged during the day. As we know, charge is almost always the issue. That little sneaky, freaky frequency of charge gets in there, and it almost doesn't matter what the content is, right? It completely multiplies it by -1, right? Anything you multiply by -1 is negative, unless it's already negative. So you can negate the negative, which is kind of looks like this. Phase cancellation, right? That's the geometry of white noise. Basically, you have something that's doing something, and then you hit it with its opposite, and where did it go, right? It's kind of how healing works. So we want to phase cancel whatever is not right. So we breathe, come to peace, enter the sanctuary. The body is the most awesome sanctuary. There's no temple or church you could go in that actually makes the chemicals that your body can make while you are meditating in your body sanctuary. Voila, right? You're a chemical genius. Your body is the smartest thing this side of Andromeda. So we're just going to honor the body, just relishing peace, relishing this moment, coming into this moment. In this moment, there's no fear, there's no pain. Well, you might be experiencing pain, but the more you're present, somehow that pain seems to be less of a factor. But certainly fear is diminished in the moment if you're truly present. So let's do that. Let's clear the fear, if there's any. Oxygenating. Fear is excitement without breath, so we oxygenate. Fear is sometimes lack of confidence, lack of Shakti. So meditation downloads more Shakti. And as you sit quietly, you get more confident. Fear can be snake in a rope. So don't be misperceiving. All right? Stop, look, and listen. And then it will be revealed. Whatever it is, the next step will be clear. So we come to that peaceful place where that can happen. Relaxing the brain, relaxing the eyeballs, relaxing your jaw, breathing through the nose. Beautiful peace. Inhalation fills your temple with beautiful radiation of peace. When your breath is still, the mind is still. When the mind is still, you can chill. And when you can chill, you're no longer ill. Just letting that silence find its way. Sometimes we're attached to the past. And sometimes the past is attached to you. So we're just gonna throw off that bat cape. Release it. Lighten up in the shoulders, the neck. All right, this is the weight of the lineages. This is mother. This is my left shoulder, even though Facebook reverses it. This is my right shoulder. The father lineage is here. It's the yang, here's the yin. We integrate these two beautiful unbroken chains. We go back to the dawn of time. Mother, father, the most profound archetypes in the universe, perhaps. So meditation with the right blessings to the ancestors always releases us from weightiness and heaviness instead of enlightenment. Right? You kind of get like, ugh. Just sort of release the ancestral weight by blessing them. Sending love to the ancestors creates a trickle-down love fest where they're mysteriously relieved of their burdens through your blessings, and then you are mysteriously relieved of your burdens through their blessings. And it's a mutual thing. So we breathe and just let the ancestors lighten up the deal above you. Imagine you're in an auditorium. The lights are on you. But suddenly the lights come on in the audience. And there's all these beings. Probably 1,000 people that goes back 5, 10 generations. Probably a lot more with each generation. Cousins, aunts, mothers, fathers, grandparents, great-grandparents, all relations. And so we bless all the relations in order to bless our country, in order to bless our families. So we bless all relations. So to think kindly of others is good for your mind, among other things, right? Happy New Year, y'all. So being kind to the mind, kind to others, even if they do horrific things, it's still better to connect to their higher self. That's one way to do it, right? If it's hard to forgive them for their whatever you don't like. But you connect to the soul, not the role, as Ram Dass would say, right? Link to their higher purpose, their higher being. And that sort of lets you off the karmic hook. Kind of lets them off too. So, and that's a good thing, right? If we're all hooked in the karma, we're not exactly free, and we're not exactly free. We do things where we all disagree, kind of deal. So to help resolve, call it the traffic jam of the word farm, we bless. And we go deeper than the words. In India, words are understood on a continuum known as Matraka Shakti. Matraka means the mother, right? The mother Shakti behind the words. It's the sound generating force behind the language. And so when you meditate on the sound generating force behind the language, you ease off on the surface level, right? You don't get too scrambled up in the bramble. You drop down into what's called the bija seat syllables, where words have power, right? Because they have syllables that have power. And sentences have power because of the words, but really because of the syllables, right? The alphabet isn't just a random thing, right? It's a collection of vibrations that is in harmony with this implicate order that we're born with, which is why a child can learn any language when they're born into it, right? They already have the syntax, the whole genetic structure is in place. So the whole genetic structure is in place for the entire language mechanism of creation, of which Sanskrit understands this, the great yogis understand this, that you can create with language. I mean, we know this, right? So language is one of the tools of creation. And so to bless is using language. To curse is using language, right? But cursing includes a negative charge, which is not good. Right, so we go back to the very basis of the syllables. And it's like when you meditate on the roots of anything, there's a power there. It's like you just bask in this like force of the languaging. It's like the unspoken is yet to burst into being. Right? It rises up and ends up rolling off your tongue. But where does it come from? It comes from this deeper, in Sanskrit, it's the para level, right? It goes up through madhyamaka, vaikari, and then out it comes, right? It bubbles up from nothing, and then it shapes itself into these seed syllables, and then we direct them. So the language has a mystical power, no matter what language it is. And so the silence of meditation takes us back to the root ensemble of the languaging, rather than being scrambled up in the nuances and the meaning format of the language, right? Which is where we're all reacting all the time. And that's, if you look, just watch the news, it's just a sea of reactivity. So how do we undo this within ourselves? Because that's probably the only place we can really have an immediate effect. So peace, meditation, dropping down, it's like waves. What do? You drop underneath the waves. So we go underneath the language into the silent sanctuary where the language essence is there in its potency, but not in its shell form, right? So we go back to the syllables. Pure syllables are open. Syllables are like waves, like a giant whip, right? Because they never close. They're always woo-wah, wee-woo-wah, wee-woo-wah, right? Whereas consonants, closed. So meditation is best served in the realm of vowels because it's wave form. When you get into too much particles and frozen format, right, that's a lockdown, and you know how that feels. So we want to liberate ourselves into the wave format of the language where you don't even need to use words, right? This is non-local medicine. This is the new Aquarian energies coming in. It's a telepathic universe. We're catching up to this, right? We know this. When the phone rings, you know it's your mom. Everybody knows that. But not everyone knows you can heal people with your mind at a distance. Not everyone knows that what you're thinking is actually affecting people way more profoundly than you might realize, right? So let's go and tame this tendency. So we breathe. Coming into the silent constellation of the language in its seed form, in your heart, ultimately, in your consciousness. And so we're going to sit with the syllables, essentially. They're like your little friends, little power packs, just the force of language, just ready at your command. And because you don't need to command it, it acquires more power by just basking, by soaking it up, right? You sit there with the power, you soak it up, you get stronger. Especially if you're not thinking thoughts, you're not trying to say things, you're just in this sort of vibrating power pack, infinite potential in the heart, the source of all language. So we're just going to bask in the heart, Anything you want to say, hold it back for now. Strengthen it. All right, when you hold back a little bit, things accumulate. You have a bigger snowball. So just keep adding a little more snow to that snowball by holding it back, holding steady, leaning into the future, breathing, thought-free state. Here we go. Just feeling the peace. What does your sanctuary look like? You can create an inner, amazing place. There's something I learned to do with Silva mind control when I was 14. Back in 1971, I had this little palace on a hill overlooking the ocean. It was based on a painting in my parents' house. Had a beautiful courtyard with a fountain and steps that go up to these glass windows. And inside, I had my meditation sanctuary. Instruments, whatever hobbies you like are there. Any family, friends, lover, whatever you want, you can place there. All right? It's like Harold and the Purple Crayon. You get to design this universe. So it's not a bad idea to have a place that's all set up. It's kind of designed. You just sort of come and meditate. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just come to your sanctuary. And once you've established that, you could go more high tech. I mean, I have viewing screens for healing. There's different ways you can broadcast. There's different ways you can receive the information, whatever it is you need. Because your spine, your central nervous system, is essentially a broadcast station of pure creation. We're just vibrating in this quantum foam of reality, downloading whatever it is the divine wants you to think, seems to be how it works. It's certainly what the Sufis say. They would suggest that while you think you might be thinking your thoughts, the Sufis would suggest that the universe sort of front-loaded them for you. So even your thoughts are not yours necessarily, right? They're kind of coming in from this smarter part that's maybe not quite who you think you are, right? The deeper part of you. So let's take note of that. Namaste, Vince. So we're going into the deeper part of you. The pure I am observation awareness. The ultimate platform. The real deep state, right? All this hoo-ha about deep state. Deep state is the aliens, guys, if you really want to know. That's the level these people are upset about, but they needn't to be, right? Because personally believe that these guys have it under control. So if they're looking around for, deep state in the drawers of Congress people, I don't think they're going to find it there. So anyway, so real deep state is pure I am awareness. The part that's watching you be you. It's been there since forever. The changeless aspect. Namaste. So we're just going to align with this beautiful deepness, right? You are the deep state. deep delta, deep theta. Nassim Haramein would suggest that you're actually a kind of black hole of the good variety. Right? When you go into the deep sleep state, where did you go? Right? Into the black hole we go at night. In India, it's called the causal body, and they say the causal body is black. Well, duh. I mean, it actually never occurred to me for years listening to this in India, like, oh, causal body is black. It's deeper than the white subtle energy body, and it houses the deep blue pearl scintillating soul body. But what's the deal with this black sheath body that's around the pearl of great price, right? That's the pure I am consciousness all wrapped up in blue light. Well, it would make sense that the black body they speak of, the third body, is actually a black hole. And we're accustomed to think of those as, giant monsters in outer space. But if we understand Nassim Haramein correctly, he would suggest that a proton and a neutron, these different subatomic particles, are actually mini black holes, because if you take the radius of one of them and do some fun math, it all works out. It's the same as the black hole. So we speculate, we meditate, but let's just say you are a black hole of the most wondrous variety. In other words, that's how God does it, right? Because otherwise, you would just make a mess of it, right? God has to sort of stay hidden in this cloak, right? So like, okay, what are these idiots up to now? So, like, from this deeper place, you just have to go there and experience that, right? I could talk to you all night about the blue pearl and the deep space, but it's all sort of frivolous if you don't meditate and drop into that experience. So let's just do that. Sometimes when we invoke something like that, the folks who are meant to hear it show up in that moment, right? The blue pearl is very special. And people who are not supposed to hear about it mysteriously drop out before it's mentioned. So the blue pearl, the pure I am consciousness, the pearl of great price, the mustard seed of the kingdom, the bodhicitta seed of the Buddha awareness, this microscopic dot of the divine that exists. It seems like it's within you. It's hard to say what local space is when you're dealing with that kind of dimension, but the experience is that it's in your chest and it's radiating a 50,000 femtotesla field. And so let's just do it. We're going to bask in the glow of the blue pearl in the heart of the black hole, which is contained within the electromagnetic white energy body of the subtle body, around which this encasement of the physical body exists. Here we are. So all four bodies dropping into the pearl. Here we go. Just soft breath, gentle release, softening the brain, the eyes, relaxing brain, softening the face, relaxing the jaw, masseter muscles, temporalis muscles, oxygenating, and here we go. Just drop in, next 2 minutes, total peace. Notice that you're noticing. Gentle breath. Turns out that God is Canadian. Lives in a little house in your heart. Just dropping into the deep feeling. I'm feeling this beautiful electrical in the heart here. Shakti kind of tickles. It's a vibratory energy that can be more Shakti can be accumulated. Right? There's always Shakti, but meditation sort of oozes it. Start to create this subtle energetic air. It's like, whoo. And you know it when you're there, because it's different than when you start. Radically different. You might already feel different. I feel different. Just sitting here for 33 minutes, I'm in a totally different state than when we started. Oh, so just notice how state shifting occurs. Sometimes it's like you're driving along in third gear, and then, whoa, what happened? Poof, you just kind of like drop in. And then it's like your mind is suddenly under arrest. When you sit like this, what comes up is it's like you need your body, obviously. But when you're in this kind of alignment, your body kind of just disappears. It gets so still you don't notice it. And then the same starts to happen with the mind. And that's where you start to shift into a different state, right? You go from beta to suddenly you're in alpha. Maybe below 14 hertz a second, right? Getting down into the theta waves. It's more harmonious brainwave, more creative. And then when you get into the deeper delta, right, you don't have to be unconscious, as the yogis have proven, to go into that state. And that's kind of the deal, right? If you spend your life always in beta and never dip down into alpha, theta, delta in a conscious way, that's fine, you'll be okay. But it's like you'll miss all of this. If you want the bliss, do this, right? This is the bandwidth of bliss, right? Because when we're talking and that's not always a blissful state. But even that can be blissful if you're anchored in the deeper state. So things that are crazy are then in alignment with you, and then you don't experience them as agitating, you just observe them. You might say, oh, that's crazy, but it doesn't bother you, right? Because it's not actually disturbing you. And so that's the value of this, right? That we anchor, create a template, kind of a reference beam against which everything can be compared. And that serves as an anchor. Otherwise, you're like a kite without a string, right? So we need that anchor. And where that anchors in, evidently, in the subtle energy body, is down in the second and the third chakra. Evidently, on the octave of creation index, that would be xenon, krypton going to xenon, which then goes to radon. These are the noble gases of the first three chakras. So your subtle energy body, anchors in between 2 and 3. Why down there? Why not up here? Probably because it needs anchoring in earth, right? It needs to be like really solid. So that's why you can't leave your body so easily. And if you go too far, you can always come back, right? You have a cord, lifeline back. Now, some people have expressed the fear, but what if I float off and never come back? That just never happens, folks. If it does, some dude had a heart attack or whatever, right? That's something else, right? That's not because of the meditation. So, the beauty is you don't have to go anywhere. That's my experience. You can work with people non-locally, right? You can travel and zippity-doo-dah, but ultimately, no better place than right where you're at. So let's just reconnect there again. Continuously referencing the deeper zone sets in motion a template. Otherwise, you never link there, right? Attention is taking you outside. So coming back to the source, coming back to the bliss. Let's do this. And we breathe. Sahaja Samadhi is the name of the natural state where you're kind of meditating with your eyes open. I'm in a kind of sahaj state at the moment, right? I'm talking to you, but I do kind of feel like I'm meditating inside, right? There is that like happening. And so the sahaja can take you out of the nirvikalpa or the savikalpa samadhi. These are different ways of focusing on either nothingness or a single object. Or sahaj samadhi would be what we're doing when we're just walking around, engaging with reality in a kind of flow mode, where it's friction-free. Right? You're not agitated by it. So nowadays, that would be the meditation of choice, right? Because you probably are too agitated to sit for too long. I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years, and the universe has been so agitating lately, it's hard, right? So every moment you can, drop back in. That's what I recommend. Let's connect back. Waiting in a bank line, or maybe not in the bank anymore, sitting at your computer doing nothing, drop in. Connect, just takes a few seconds, breathe. Remember, you're the supreme being in a body. And then you can turn on the news. Otherwise, I don't recommend it until you become the supreme being in a body. Otherwise, the news could come in and whack you, smack you upside the head. So we want that 51% platform that pushes out, right? That allows you to stay solid, protected. Let's call it a bioplasmic sheathing. The world just bounces off and you're totally protected, totally nurtured, totally ensconced, embedded in the heart feeling. Peace. You'll know that the Shakti is really working it with you when your experience is a series of drop-ins. Like Mary Poppins. Suddenly, there she is. Suddenly, there's the meditation. Boom. And you were just making a sandwich. It's like, whoa, suddenly you feel this, oh, I have to sit down and just like get absorbed for a minute. If you did that 20 times a day, that's probably worth a lot more than a meditation, actually, because that's 20 meditations. Even if it's for a few seconds, you're just making the connection. That's really all you got to do. and then it does you. That's my experience. Okay, but I didn't trust that the universe would just flow through and speak to you like this. I'd probably be too terrified to do this because I'd be thinking, what am I going to say? I even show up with some things if I need them, but I literally almost never use them because the Shakti just kicks in and it just becomes clear to me what I'm supposed to say. It just wants to be said a certain way. And if that appeals to you, it's a form of channeling that everybody is doing ultimately, right? Whatever your personality is, the universe is basically has a contract with you, right? You are expressing the universe as you, and so you're a channel, right? So just notice what's wanting to come through you right now. I'm just flowing with it myself. Just notice it in yourself. You might have some plan and then you realize, oh, something else is happening here. That's the story of my life. I had all these plans and then something else happened. So that's good, right? What comes up to say is power versus force. So the power is inherent in the posturing, right? In the celestial positioning, your GPS. And then inauthentic power is force, right? You know when you've done something you wish you hadn't done, or you realize, oh, this is just not right. I'm using too much force. I'm trying too hard. So just let it do itself through you. You'll be guided. This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Good luck, Jim. Get your download and off you go. Mission possible. I'm hearing a James Taylor song saying, even if you feel lost and lonely and don't know what to do, you hear this song on the radio. So what is this heart radio that comes in? Liquid crystal heart. Divine impulses just through your liquid crystal heart. And that's not the problem. That's happening in everyone. Everybody is a perfect master, worshiping God in their own wondrous way. Liquid crystal heart. Then what's the problem? The mind, the brain. Okay, so liquid crystal heart doing just fabulously. And let's just move up into the brain for a minute. And just notice what's up. I was having a conversation with a client today, and we were talking about anger and what do you do with it, right? There's all sorts of techniques. Well, the one we talked about yesterday is a really good one, which is that you take your focus off of what you're upset about and you just flip it around and observe your anger, observe your emotion, and just look at it. Just observe it. It's a chemical phenomenon occurring. And while you're in the directive of it, engaged with someone, you're in that highway of ferocity. that's not going to work, right? So it's like, clip it, redirect it, make that person no longer relevant, direct it inside, notice what's happening to you. And then you'll stare it down and start to calm down. Right? I talked someone down from a panic attack the other day on the phone. And it was just a matter of time. It was just addressing all this, the inner child of this person's terror. Just with each little thing, we just soothed it. So pretty soon, even the sweaty hands had stopped. And that reminds me of our wondrous friends in Toronto, Hania, and my brain is gone. I can't remember her name. Hania's sister, I just spoke, Anila. I don't know what's wrong with my brain. Wondrous news that the baby that was supposed to be born in prematurely, they were very concerned about its weight. It weighed 3.2 pounds initially, and they were going to cesarean it, I think initially on the 28th of December, and then it was reset for the 4th of January. And when I worked with them to help heal the baby back at the end of the month, the information that was coming through was that, well, this is going to be further on. It's going to happen maybe the 11th, or at least then. Turns out there's the number 14, right? 13th or 14th. Baby will be arriving. I believe she said 6 pounds, right? And this whole disaster was unfolding because the baby was only less than 4.5 pounds, and it wasn't going to work out. So anyway, non-local healing, it's a beautiful thing. Can even help babies in the womb. So we bless. So great that this baby is coming through in such a wondrous way. Aho. Blessings to you, Anila and Hania, and Shara, and your brother. Namaste. Let's just take this moment. Send healing energy to anyone you need to. If it's you, download it. If it's your husband, send it. If it's your cousin, send it. Imagine them fine. Delete the virus. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a little COVID deletion transmission, and you can just pipe that into wherever it needs to go, okay? That's just what I'm getting to do, but I need an instrument to assist. Okay. Okay. So this is for anyone with COVID symptoms. Think you have COVID, know you have COVID, know your friend or family members that have COVID. First, we want to delete the fear of death, the number one fear in the universe. How do we delete the fear of death? In my experience is to recognize that you are deathless, right? That yes, we die, but we're not really dead. So no such thing. You're a changeless, eternal being. So focusing on this deep self liberates us from a certain level of disease, dis-ease, floods the body with light. So just send gold light to these folks. So we're going to delete virus, fungus, mold, bacteria, any microorganisms that shouldn't be in the lungs, the throat, the bloodstream, organs and glands. We're just deleting. Send them off to the black hole for recycle. I want the blood to spiral clockwise, laminar flow, non-turbulent. Happy spiraling blood, releasing you or this being from disease. Just calling in laser love drone strike. going up to our satellite and just downloading the Shakti blast to wipe out disease. We're doing it Siri style, right? You command Siri. You tell Siri to turn that light on. Tell Siri to play that song. We're telling Siri to clear these folks, right? And who is Siri anyway? Seriously, it would be the Supreme I Am Siri. That would be you too. So just connect to your inner commander, right? Deliver the wondrous languaging we spoke of earlier, right? These seed syllables that are the core of the language. If you connect to those in your heart, they become imbued with your intention. We know that intention plus frequency plus whatever you want to add, visualization, love, Shakti, tenderness, this is what heals. Right? This is what heals. Love heals. But it's a particular application of love, right? It's surgically applied, it's targeted, or it can be. You can just flood the zone, that can work. But it might not take the cancer out. You can flood the zone, but it might not get the bacteria. So you have to be comprehensive, all levels, emotional, mental, spiritual, psychic, psychological. Right? All these levels have impact. And there's weakness that can emerge from these, right? And so weakness is the problem. Like, have enough weaknesses, then you're a collapsing system. So that's kind of what we're doing when we're helping someone, is you're making corrections, right? You're taking little negative pockets and popping them back to some kind of alkaline, neutral positive. So we're just alkalinizing the body. Disease is a function of jammed up space. You got into the COVID elevator and there was just too many people, and that's what your bloodstream might be looking like, right? Jammed up particles, down below 7.0 pH. Cancer vibrates around 4.5 pH. COVID's probably, I don't know, I'd just be guessing, but it's below 7, right? It's in the disease portfolio. So we just come back to neutral, positive, alkaline, the water, beautiful water pressure. The body is working hard all day long to balance your pH, the power of the hydrogen, percentage of the hydrogen. Hydrogen is space, right? We're space beings. When you get all jammed up with funky stuff, you're not a space being anymore, right? You're a cramped being. We want to expand it back, right? Become empty space. And we want your empty space to be strong, not lonely, not weak. So there's a little healing directive for everyone's empty space where you're feeling like, oh, my relatives, oh, poor me. Wherever that collapsing system is, right, just boomba, pop it back. You don't need to collapse. Just because the world's collapsing. Not. The problem with news cycles is that they're 24/7. And those catecholamines are just, you might as well just keep the stove on all day long and just keep pouring popcorn into the pan. And then there's always breaking news, which leaves you a little broken. So, what's the good news of the universe? The Supreme I Am. The only news worth hearing, ultimately. When you leave your body, you won't care about CNN or Fox, Newsmax, social media. You'll be gone. Even if you still have a Facebook page. you'll be gone, long gone like a turkey through the corn. You'll have merged into the great beyond, the supreme I am. Only news worth considering, because God is Canadian. Just kidding. But he still lives in that little house in your heart. So just knock on the door and she'll let you in. Breathing. Beautiful feeling coming in. Good feeling attracts the healing. Homeopathic principle. Like attracts like. There are people who have let the problems of today lead them to conclude that for them life is not the way. But every problem has an answer, and if yours you cannot find, you can talk it over to her. She's not so hard to find. But when you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. Yeah, she cares. Many of us feel we walk alone without a friend, never communicating with the one who lives within, forgetting all about the one who never ever lets you down. You can talk to him anytime, yeah, he's always around. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God, yeah. It's the only free psychiatrist who's known throughout the world, solving all the problems of men, women, and little boys and girls. But when you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God, yeah. Have a talk. Have a talk with God. She cares. Just noticing this link we have right back to the source, right back to the center of the heart, from whence we have all made our start. Take hold of me, blessed powers that be. Love keep us together. Take hold of me, blessed powers that be. Love keep us together. Take hold of me, blessed powers that be. Love keep us together. Let the sun shine. Let the sun shine in. Sunshine. Let the sunshine. Let the sunshine in. The sunshine. Let the sunshine. Let the sunshine. Namaste, everyone, and thank you so much for hanging out, and sharing your love and attention and meta attention. Next week, next Monday, 5 o'clock, a billion blessings. Be safe. Namaste, namaste.